Hello dear students, good morning to one and all. Dear students, in the previous video we were discussing some concept related to the atomic model. That is, in the previous class we were discussed about the first atomic model, that is J.J. Thomson model, and also we were discussed that alpha scattering experiment. Today we will discussing the remaining two atomic models. They are Rutherford atomic model and Bohr's atomic model. Now I want to explain the Rutherford atomic model. It is also called planetary model. Dear students, we know that Rutherford performed the alpha particle scattering experiment and he concluded that as most of the alpha particles passed through the gold foil is undeflected. That is due to, that indicates that most of the space in an atom is empty, and he also concluded that some of the alpha particles are scattered due to the Coulomb's repulsion between the alpha particle and the nucleus. On the basis of these two conclusions or results, Rutherford proposed his atomic model. According to that model, all the positive charges and most of the mass of an atom is concentrated in a very small region, that is called nucleus. Here, according to Rutherford atomic model, what is meant by nucleus? Nucleus means it is a small positively charged core in which entire positive charges and most of the mass of an atom is concentrated, that is called nucleus. And also he proposed that is the second postulate, the size of the nucleus is extremely small. The size of the nucleus is extremely small compared to the size of the atom. That is here, the size of the nucleus is about 10 to the power of minus 15 meter. The size of the atom is 10 to the power of minus 10 meter. That means the size of the atom is greater than 10 to the power, that is the size of the atom is 10 to the power of 5 times greater than the nucleus. Therefore, it indicates that most of the space in an atom is empty. Next, he also proposed that the electrons revolving around the nucleus, like planets revolving around the sun. Therefore, this model, the Rutherford model, is also called planetary model. And here, if an electron is revolving around the nucleus, then in a circular orbit there must be some centripetal force. That centripetal force is provided by the Coulomb's attraction or attractive force between nucleus and electrons. Here, electron is a negatively charged particle, nucleus is a positively charged region. Therefore, there must be a Coulomb's force of attraction. That Coulomb's force of attraction provides the centripetal force. Here, once again, I repeat the postulate number 3. That is, the electrons revolving around the nucleus like planetary motion. Just like a planets moving around the sun, electrons revolving around the nucleus. If the electron revolving around the nucleus in a circular orbit, there must be a centripetal force. That centripetal force is provided by the force of attraction between electron and nucleus. Therefore, this model is also called planetary model. The fourth postulate is, that is already repeated in the J.J. Thomson model, that is atom is electrically neutral because atom has equal number of revolving electrons and positive charges of the nucleus. Here, according to Rutherford, the number of revolving electrons around the nucleus is equal to the number of positive charges on the nucleus. Therefore, atom is electrically neutral. These are the four postulates given by the Rutherford atomic model, but Rutherford atomic model fails to explain this some concept. They are called demerits or limitations of Rutherford atomic model. They are there are two limitations or demerits of Rutherford atomic model. First one is it could not explain the stability of an atom. Students, we know that an atom is a neutral and also it is a stable, but according to the Rutherford, an atom is unstable because see here, according to his explanation, an electron revolving around the nucleus with continuous emission of the energy. See here, electron revolving around the nucleus with the continuous emission of the energy. Therefore, its radius goes on decreases, and hence electron takes the spiral path and finally it falls into the nucleus. That's why, according to the Rutherford atomic model, an atom is unstable. But nowadays we know that an atom is stable. That is the one of the demerit or limitation of the Rutherford atomic model. This limitation is explained by in the proper way by the Bohr's atomic model in the next class. Next, the second limitation is it could not explain the light spectrum of an atom. We know that, dear students, an atomic spectrum is also always a line spectrum. That is, whether it is emission line spectrum or absorption line spectrum, it should be a line spectrum. But according to Rutherford, an atom continuously emits the energy. Therefore, the spectrum is also continuous. But it is practically the spectrum of an atom is line spectrum. Therefore, it fails to explain the line spectrum of atom. These are the two limitations of Rutherford atomic model. In order to overcome these two limitations, Bohr proposed his atomic model, that is Bohr atomic model. It is also called as, Bohr atomic model is also called as refined Rutherford atomic model because Bohr used the Planck's or applied the Planck's quantum theory to the Rutherford atomic model. Here once again I repeat that Bohr used the Planck's quantum theory in order to overcome the limitations of Rutherford atomic model. Therefore, this Bohr atomic model is also called as refined Rutherford atomic model. According to Bohr atomic model, here an electron revolving around the nucleus, in a certain orbit without emission or without absorption of energy, that orbit is called stationary orbit. Once again I repeat that here, an electron revolving around the nucleus without emission or without absorption of energy, that orbit is called stationary orbit. Here, what is meant by stationary orbit? It is a certain orbit in which electron revolving without emission or without absorption of energy. The next postulate, that is postulate number 2. Here, electron revolving around the nucleus in a circular orbit for which the orbital angular momentum is equal to the integral multiple of h by 2 pi, where h is called Planck's constant. We know that the Planck's constant value, h is nothing but a Planck's constant. Planck's constant, the value of h is 6.625 into 10 to the power of minus 34 joule second. So here once again I repeat the postulate number 2. Electron revolving around the nucleus in a circular orbit for which the orbital angular momentum must be integral multiple of h by 2 pi. That is here where L is the angular momentum of an electron, that is equal to mvr, where m represents the mass of the electron, v represents the velocity, orbital velocity of the electron, r represents the radius of the electron orbit, is equal to the n. N is nothing but here integral multiple, that is also called, where n is also called principal quantum number. Principal quantum number, it takes the values 1, 2, 3, so on up to n, where n is the integer or principal quantum number, h is the Planck's constant, where 2 pi is a constant. This is also called Bohr's quantization rule. This is the most important question for 1 mark. Write the Bohr's quantization rule, that is equal to L is equal to mvr is equal to nh by 2 pi. The third postulate that is most important, that is it says about energy values. The third postulate is here, an electron emits only energy only in the form of photon when it jumps from higher orbit to the lower orbit. But according to Rutherford, an electron continuously emits the energy and finally the electron fall into the nucleus. Therefore, atom is unstable according to the Rutherford. But according to Bohr, say electron emits energy in the form of photon only it jumps from higher orbit to the lower orbit. For example, here E2 represents the energy value of the higher orbit of principal quantum number N2, and E2 be the energy value of the orbit of principal quantum number N2 when an electron jumps from E2 to E1, that is higher orbit to the lower orbit. Then energy is emitted in the form of photon. That energy of the photon is calculated by using this relation. That means by taking the difference of the energies between the higher and lower energy values, we get the energy of the emitted photon. That is energy of the emitted photon E is equal to E2 minus E1, where E2 represents the energy value of the higher orbit, E1 represents the energy value of the lower orbit. Therefore, here the energy of we already know that the energy of the photon E is equal to h nu, where h is nothing but a Planck's constant, nu is nothing but a frequency of the emitted photon or radiation, that is equal to E2 minus E1. Finally, we get the relation, that is for frequency of the emitted photon, nu is equal to E2 minus E1 by h. These are the three postulates. Once again, I want to repeat these three postulates. First postulate is, say all of you, once again I want to repeat the three postulates. First one is an electron revolving around the nucleus in a certain orbit without emitting or without absorbing the energy, that is called stable orbit. The second postulate is the electrons revolving in those orbits for which the orbital angular momentum is equal to the integral multiple of h by 2 pi. This is also called Bohr's quantization rule. The third postulate is an electron emits energy only when it jumps from higher orbit to the lower orbit. But the Bohr postulate, Bohr model also has some limitations. They are the drawbacks. They are limitations of Bohr atomic model. First one is Bohr atomic model could not explain the spectra of complex atom. What is meant by spectra of complex atoms? Complex atoms means these are the atoms they have in the more than one electron. For example, we take a sodium that has more number of electrons, that is greater than one electron. Therefore, this model, Bohr atomic model, is not applicable for the complex atom. That is the one of the limitation of Bohr atomic model. Next one is it could not explain the wave nature of electron. Dear students, we know that in the dual nature chapter, all the particles behaves like a wave and also particle. That means they have the dual nature. It is a particle. Electron is a particle. It also has a wave nature, but that wave nature is not explained by the Bohr atomic model. That is also one of the limitations. It could not explain the wave nature of electron. Next, that is the third limitation is it could not explain the Zeeman effect. Zeeman effect means the process of splitting of a spectral line, a single spectral line, into number of lines in the presence of magnetic field. What is meant by Zeeman effect? The splitting of single spectral line into number of spectral line in the presence of magnetic field, that is called Zeeman effect. That could not be explained by using the Bohr atomic model. The fourth limitation is it could not explain the Stark effect. Stark effect means it is the process in which the single spectral line is split into the number of spectral lines, but in the presence of electric field, that is called Stark effect. That could not be explained by using the Bohr atomic model. The last limitation is it could not explain the elliptical orbit of the electron. Nowadays we know that electron revolving around the nucleus in the elliptical orbit, but according to Bohr, electron revolving around the nucleus in a circular orbit. That is also one of the limitation of Bohr atomic model. But Bohr atomic model has some merits. There, Bohr atomic model explain the stability of the atom. Bohr atomic model explain the origin of spectral lines, and also by using Bohr atomic model we can calculate the velocity of the electron revolving around the nucleus, and also we can calculate the radius of the electron orbit, and also we can calculate the energy, the total energy of the revolving electron. These three variables are calculated by using the Bohr's atomic model, by applying Bohr's atomic model. Therefore, these are the three merits of the Bohr atomic model.